Okay. Hi, my name is Hugo, and this is my final speech for my English Comp 2 class. Okay, so as all of you know, climate change is a recurring topic that seems to be more and more prevalent every year. There always seems to be more and more statistics and research that supports the idea, but there are always those who seem to refuse the truth. However, I feel that instead of trying to convince those who don't believe, it is more important to focus on convincing those who do believe in taking action. I feel that for someone to truly understand how much uh, how much changes are going to help uh, alleviate the effects of the climate on the world's environment, one must understand how much climate change is actually affecting the world as a whole. To do this, I feel that I should talk about To do this, I feel I should talk about how climate change has affected the country of Australia in the last couple of decades. In specific, how has it affected their wildfire season? Wildfire season. Since the start of the 21st century, there have been multiple wildfire seasons in Australia that have caused massive damages to the country as a whole. One of the most notable ones being the Black Sunday, or what is called the Black Saturday fires that happened in 2009, in which more than 100 people lost their lives and thousands of acres of land and animal habitat were destroyed in fires. Although not every wildfire season is as catastrophic as this one that occurred over a decade ago, it does not mean that other fire seasons are not as devastating to the country. Within the first decade of this century, many began to speculate that there was in fact a correlation between climate change and the severity of seasonal wildfires in Australia. A scientist by the name of Sarah Perkins Kilpatrick at the University of New South Wales supports this notion, and she even stated that we knew that this was going to happen. Uh, from the year 2008, it was thought by many scientists that wildfire seasons would start to begin at an earlier date, and later, and overall just be more devastating. One of the most recent disasters that most of you will be familiar with are the wildfires that started in Australia towards the end of last year. Okay, in in these fires there were more these most fires were more devastating than ever before, and thanks to the fact that it was massively observed by the media and reported on by the media, the fires started to pop up. The fires first started to pop up, sorry, in Australia in late September of 2019, and in no time became an enormous problem that they were honestly not able to handle. By the end of the wildfire season, there had been thousands and thousands of people that had been fighting the wildfires head on, trying to lessen the blows that the fires were having on the land and prevent as much damage as they could. Firefighters, Firefighters and other first responders worked day in and day out to try to slow things down, but it didn't seem to help. At the start of the at the start of the year, there had been about 25 million acres that had been struck by the fires in Australia, and this number grew at an alarming rate day by day. There had been volunteers from all over the world flown out to Australia to try to give as much aid as they possibly could, and some even lost their lives. These fires cost the lives of towards the end, these fires cost the lives of around 30 people, with the numbers of those injured and affected by the fires in the hundreds of thousands. Know that all this information on know that all this information on exactly how devastating these fires can be have been and have been it is important to take a final step and work towards something that will help the situation as a whole, and even more important, that people go along with the plan. While while he was serving his term as Prime Minister of Australia, former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull introduced a program that would help combat climate change in Australia and help to alleviate future disasters. However, this pro this program was not accepted by his fellow politicians and government and ended up being tossed aside. It is of the utmost importance that not only everyone understands the the need for change in the way the world as a whole views climate change, but also the way we try to fix the issue.